it's time to try the other Rookie Class series on iRacing. After successfully being promoted out of Rookie Class in the little MX-5s, I thought it was only fair to try the other Rookie Class series available to users, and that is the BMW M2 Cup, a series and car that was introduced at the start of 2025 and offers a slight step up in terms of challenge for Rookie Class drivers. So in these 3 races at Summit Point Motorsport Park, I'm going to explore what this car is like, what these races are like, and answer the question at the end of this video: should this be the class that you actually do iRacing rookies in 2025? Let's dive in. So here we are, my first BMW M2 race on iRacing. We are starting off the front row in P2 position, and we are getting green light and underway here. Not a bad jump compared to the others around me. Still working on the clutch pedals on my Formula wheel, so we're just using the normal automatic clutch for these starts in this race. And down to turn 1 with a bit of space around, missing the apex a little bit there, but holding on to our P2 position through the turn 2 kink here, up towards turn number 3. Now behind me, a B-rated driver with a bit more iRacing than me, door number 3. So we're going to be under a bit of pressure from this driver through this opening lap on cold tyres. Not entirely sure how hard I can push in race trim on this opening lap. And in front though is a good reference point, the door number 1 car, nearly 4,000 iRacing there. So he must know a thing or two about these cars, and we're going to do our best to try and keep up, although I think this will be more of a chance that I'll be trying to hold on to position from the cars behind me. Now through this tricky little sequence at the back of the track here, coming through turn 9 here at this point, it's really tricky. You can't really get full throttle through that sequence. Losing the rear of the car a little bit through turn 9, and that's going to put me under big pressure coming up to the final turn 10 here at Summit Point Motorsport Park. Out on the other side though, with a decent exit in 4th gear, and it's going to take a little pressure off. I'm getting through the first lap of this one, keeping on that, holding on to that P2 position. Now on lap number 3, out of turn number 3 here, the tyres really start to come on a little bit. Laps 3 and 4 felt the best in this car at the circuit, and it gave you a little bit more grip to push a little bit harder. Down to the hairpin here, really trying to focus on my trail braking at this corner and producing the sort of V shape on the telemetry there, getting on the brakes all the way to the apex, and then immediately with a bit of throttle. Something you guys have been helping me out with in the comment section of my first iRacing video, so thank you so much to all of those people who have been putting out some great comments there. Trying to work on it. It'll take me a while to get used to the inputs of this car, particularly compared to the other sims I've been playing. I just need to be so much more gentle, so much more precise, and I'm really enjoying the challenge of it. This lap is going to come through into a 17.735 and be the fastest lap of the race. It does get beaten later on, but it's certainly showing that I have a half decent pace here in this race. Immediately undoing it though, going along there at turn 1, and that door 3 car is now all over the rear bumper here, coming through turns 8 and 9 and under big pressure here on lap number 4. Coming up towards the final turn once again, he's right in the slipstream here, needing to get this final corner right, but unfortunately running a bit wide of the apex, late on the throttle, and he's now right in the slipstream here as we come over the start finish line. And he in fact goes with a fastest lap of the race to that point, pulls out of the slipstream in towards the braking zone, and he goes down the inside there, runs a little bit long. We make a little bit of contact there at the apex. Fortunately though, just a 0x for that contact, and he's away there in P2, and I fall back to P3. We're not going to give up on this one just yet though. That number 3 car is sort of overdriving a little bit over these next few laps. We'll go into the grass there as we get through turn number 6. So there is a chance that there might be a mistake from one of these drivers, and I was finding myself definitely looking at the back of this car for the majority of the rest of the race, just ready to capitalise if anything up ahead happens. Further behind, plenty of drama, a couple of cars making contact to the final corner and a few other cars getting involved with that as well. So fortunately, being up the front, we were managing to miss a lot of that drama. Now a little mistake there out of turn number 3 on the final lap, coming down towards the hairpin. Not really enough to get into in the sort of battle here, but we're just going to try to put some pressure on. Maybe there's another little mistake from this car,
before the end of the race. Behind hasn't really been any pressure there. The door 5 car kind of a couple of seconds back, but never really getting much closer than that. So it's just been nice to sort of follow these quicker drivers and put a bit of pressure on and learn a bit of thing or two about the circuit, about this car. Almost running wide there out of turn 9 for that black car in front. Just damaged lapped car to deal with into the final corner here, and unfortunately no miracles through this last turn. Everyone gets through here nicely, but we're going to come away with a solid P3 position in our first BMW M2 race. Pretty happy with the result, and a 0x will certainly help boost that safety rating as well. Race number 2 now, and we're going to take you for a lap of Summit Point in qualifying here in the BMW, and hopefully show some of the things that I've learned from my first iRacing video and all those amazing comments and helpful tips that you guys have been giving me from that first one. So through turn number 1, and noting the telemetry, as I mentioned before, looking for a lot of V-shape in the telemetry. A lot of you guys are pointing out that I was coasting off throttle, off brake through the apex of some of the corners in my little MX-5 races. So I was trying to avoid that, and also trying to work on my peak pressure and the initial part of the braking phase. And I was careful not to get too deep into that. I was certainly noticing the telemetry showing the ABS activating if I got to 100% brake pressure, or simply too high a brake pressure at certain points of the brake trace. So I was picking that up and just slowly working on that through these races. Now I've got to admit, as we come out of turn 9 here, that this is definitely quite tricky after coming from the likes of Assetto Corsa Competizione, but when you get it right, the car rewards you, and you're certainly able to understand when it was working and when it was not. So in this qualifying session, we're going to come across the line here, and we're going to set a 1 minute 17.783, which is good enough for another front row start again on the outside in position number 2. Trying to ramp the throttle up a little bit on the start of this one, and it's a decent jump here off the line. We're actually going to pull alongside here the first position car as we head down towards turn number 1. Now, not the best place to be on the outside here, and in fact the leader just goes very long here, as well as the other inside car. So we do make another contact. Again, it's a 0x contact with the car that was starting out of P3, and another car up the inside as well. So although we gained on the leader who went long in turn 1, here's the replay, we do lose out around being on the outside there to the 2 cars immediately on the inside. Fortunately, we're able to slot back in here into position number 3 as we head up towards turn 3 and get this race underway. No big damage on the car. Out nicely in turn 3, and behind we have a B-rated driver, another one, and an A-rated driver behind him. So a lot of experience around me, and as we come down to the hairpin, a bit of an emergency stop there, full brakes there, trying to get the car stopped with that number 10 car, really clobbering that inside curve through turn 4. Nicely out the other side. Now careful with the throttle here through this back section of the track, always thinking the rear tyres are going to let loose here as we come through turn number 9, and wide goes that number 10 car, and with enough momentum from myself, we're able to get around him and we've run up to the final turn and nicely slot in to P number 2 at the end of lap number 1. Now if we look back behind in this shot, there is definitely some side-by-side action with quite the battle pack forming behind me here. Coming down to turn 1 on lap number 2, lots of battling going on, and that slows them up a fair amount. So immediately we can be eyes forward looking at this leader and see if we can't get away. And that gap behind grows even more. The green and black car out braking himself into turn 1, taking out the P3 car in this race, and that grows that gap behind even more. So no pressure behind, all eyes forward here as we jump ahead to lap number 3. And already within a second of the leader here, he's a 2,500 I-rated driver, C license as well. So we can hopefully have a good race with this driver. Going to have to put my best laps in if we are going to get anywhere near him. Coming through turn number 9, a little lift to get the car rotated out the other side, and it's a pretty solid lap here so far. Again, the tyres, the pressures come up, the temps come up. This car feels really good through laps 3 and 4 of these races. Nicely out of the final turn here, bit of a purple on the timing screens, and we're going to come across the start finish line. We're going to lower a 17.7 from lap 2. We're going to take it to a 17.613, a purple lap time, which does stand until the end of the race. Nicely through turn number 1, was getting a little bit better at that turn every single race. It was becoming a bit of a strong point for me versus some of the other drivers. But jumping ahead here, that car in front makes a little mistake through turn 3, but he's just slowly, ever so slowly, inching away from me, and it was going to take a fair bit of a mistake from him for me to get any closer than I am. Coming through here on the second to final lap, you see I'm just making a few inroads here. We almost get that back margin down to under a second once more, and ultimately I was really happy with how I drove this race. There was no pressure around me, but I didn't make any mistakes, and overall the average lap time was in the 17s, so I was really happy with all of that. And to come through here in the final, not quite 2 seconds away from the leader, but happy with a really strong P2 position. Just the 1x for a little off track on the first lap, but very nice again with safety rating. Moving on to race number 3. And it's a P4 starting position for me in this one, half a second away from the nearly 6,000 iRacing driver on the pole position with a 17.7, and unfortunately I get away with a very poor start, a slow reaction and a bit bogged down, and we are going to be immediately under attack from the drivers in 5th and 6th position in this one. Once again, I'm on the outside of turn number 1, another slight contact there with the car number 6, and fortunately another 0x for that contact. So we slipped down 2 positions. Those outside starting positions have really cost me in these races. Coming through turn number 3 here, and a bit further down the pack than the last few ones, but plenty of experience around me. You can see all the C and B and A licensed drivers there, so can definitely trust some of the people around me. Now a bit of a drama behind that black car. He was in the battle a few races ago. He gets sent off to the outside, and need to really check up here for the car 6 into turn number 6, but fortunately no contact. We're going to come out the other side here cleanly, ready to take on the rest of this race. Now with these drivers around, I was certainly keen to do a little bit more battling and hoping to come back up a few more positions. I was pretty sure I had the speed, but I was a little bit sloppy the first part of this race, being a few extra cars back, trying to readjust some braking points. Didn't quite go well for me the first little while. Now halfway through this race we can get quite a dark patch here with the weather. Sun's gone behind a nice big cloud in the sky there, and it was quite cool to see this changing light dynamic even in this short race. As you see, we come back under the bridge, the sun's coming back out from behind that cloud. Really cool weather changing effects, and I'm pretty sure this is part of some of the new modelling that iRacing is doing at the moment, so pretty cool to see. Now bright sunshine here with nearly 4 minutes to go in this race, and you see I've opened up a bit of a gap to the car behind, so lots of looking forward and just seeing who's going to make a mistake, seeing if there's anything that we can capitalize on. Coming up to turn 3 here on lap number 7, and the first car to make a mistake here is the green and black car, going very wide into the gravel trap there. The red car down the inside into turn 4, and they make contact, and I'm cautious to not get too involved here, and the green car goes deep then into the hairpin. The red car sneaks up the inside, and unfortunately there's not really any room for me to follow them through. So red car makes a position, I do not, but we don't get too involved, and we've kept away from contact, and that's an important thing for these races as well. The very next lap up to turn 3 once again, and it's the car a few ahead in the 3rd position that makes the mistake there. Once again the red car can capitalize on that. Green and black car down the inside now at turn 4, and more contact made. Big slide from the number 3 car. We back out expecting him to slide across track, but he manages to gather it back up, get back to the racing line, and once again I slow up, I avoid contact, but I'm unable to capitalize on the mistakes there from those cars in front. So with the final lap now on the cards, we're still in P6, seeing plenty of action up in front, but unfortunately not able to gain any extra positions. Nice and strong out of turn 1 here on this lap, and yeah, up in front there is a podium place in that red car number 6, but unfortunately we are not able to make anything of it, following these cars around to the final lap and needing to settle for that P6 position. Despite all of that, I was happy with the decisions I made in these races, not getting involved in those moments there. That green and black car losing a bunch of safety rating this race through those contacts. Staying out of that was a decent idea. Overall, with 3 races though, strong results, happy with the pace, and overall really enjoyed my time in these little BMWs.
So some great races there for me in the little BMW M2. But the question though still remains, should this be the class that you do for rookie class in 2025? Well, some things to note with the BMW compared to the MX-5. I felt the MX-5 was simply easier to drive. The M2 required a lot more throttle control and was a bit more prominent to sliding on acceleration, particularly that little back section at Summer Point there. Quite a lot more throttle control than I felt would probably be needed in something like the MX-5. However, the added challenge definitely taught you more about racing on iRacing, and between the two cars, I felt like I've learned more from this little M2 than I did with the MX-5 previously. Some of that is thanks to some of the incredible comments that you guys left in my first video, and that certainly gave me a bit more of a knowledge to kind of take on this car and extract some more pace out of it. And the other thing to note is that I never really encountered any real rookie licensed drivers in these races. I could be wrong, but if this is the case through most of the splits on the BMW, and most of those rookies are actually doing the little MX